The Joystick Show.
Welcome back to the Joystick Show. We're your three favorite friends from Hawaii here to talk story about comic news, pop culture, and video games. If this is your first time, mahalo for spending some time with us. I'm your co-host Drake. That's Thomas.
What is up?
And that's Scott.
How's it?
And today is our big 7-0 episode extravaganza. We've got tons of things to talk about today. Tons of trailers, tons of news, and a little bit of reviews. How was your all's days so far today?
Yeah, it was really good. I'm just curious. Do you think anybody's gonna know I changed my opening hello? I'm just curious. You think we'll get any emails or comments from that?
Probably
I think
a
the
lot of
hardcore
anger.
fans. Yeah.
A lot of anger. People are like, "Why is he changed?"
It's like, dude,
I know.
I miss
it's
the old guys. They're different now.
I know. They say different words and different tones.
Yeah. Do you think they're gonna talk about me like Kanye? Like, I miss the yo Kanye, but they're gonna be like, I miss the yo T Craig.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sold out, guys.
It's
Sold
okay.
out.
Just
I mean,
you
just-
stay away from
yeah.
being, the racist part, and you're good.
So my day was good. Yeah. But yeah. I feel like I'm still recovering from Comic-Con. It was fun. It was intense. It was crazy, unexpected, and I'm tired. But
Nice.
happy to be here with you guys. How was
Same.
your guys' day?
Yeah, I'm recovering just from overnight shifts. I wish I could say Comic-Con. I should have went first. You had a better answer. But I am happy to be here with you guys as well.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you, Drake?
It's the best thing I do past 9 p.m. sometimes here.
Sometimes.
Well, other times there's stuff going on that I can't
be
really talk about on
honest.
the pod. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I appreciate
That's
the honesty.
pretty tight. It's like
Twitch people know what you're
pretty
talking
tight. Yeah. It's just origami. So there's some trailers that came out, and one of the ones I think are really gonna pop off. I know we recently watched it, but The Last of Us newest trailer came out. Yes. It looks delightful. It looks very true to the game to an extent. I like how they portrayed the zombies. I know we have a lot of different iterations of zombies, right? You have the 28 Days Later zombies. You have the World War Z zombies. You've got the Walking Dead zombies, et cetera, et cetera. But what do we think about The Last of Us overall, since we've, played the game? We know the story a little bit. Do we think this new trailer has given us some new salivations?
Yeah, Scott.
Yeah, I think so. In regards to the quote unquote zombies in this world, it's like spread through like this spore infection type of thing. All the sounds they got and stuff like are pretty much just like the game. There are even scenes like it where like they're hiding behind a wall. You can hear them, the tickers going off and stuff, and they gotta like sneak around.
Yeah, it's that clicking sound, right?
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
do
just
it.
like, it's pretty much like that though. Yeah,
Then I guess I can do it.
Yeah, you could. You did it way better than I did just now. But yeah, the feel is cool. Looks like there's some light comedy in it as well, which is also nice. There's a part where like Ellie is like pretending she's got the ticks going. But
Yeah.
it looks cool.
That-
The action looks cool. So, what did you say?
Yeah, no, I would just say with the Ellie part, like that kind of reminds me of the game because in a way she still is like a kid, right? And like she's kind of still innocent and naive, even though, all these people have gone through this crazy apocalypse level event. So I like, but to me, even though there is like that kind of light humor in there, it still feels pretty ominous and scary, right? Like it doesn't feel like that takes away from the drama.
No,
by any
definitely.
means.
Like the overall tone and feeling and their mission and everything like still feels like high stakes. So
Yeah.
it still feels good. Yeah, I'm excited for the show. It looks.
You're not a passenger. You're cargo.
Yeah. Was Nick Offerman in that as well?
Damn,
I think he is.
Damn Skippy.
Yep.
I was like, so from from watching it, like it definitely gives me very The Walking Dead vibes, like early on The Walking Dead vibes, and then throwing in the background and the story plot of The Last of Us, I think really kind of pushes that forward. It's a very narrative, interpersonal journey, and I'm kind of looking forward to that because we haven't really seen that, right? It's always been something that's been more focused around The Walking Dead is like the initial characters and like how they work around their environment and all the shenanigans they get into, whereas we do kind of get that in terms of focusing on the two main characters, but I'm thinking a lot of the ancillary characters, like having a Nick Offerman in this situation, right? How are we going to see the evolution of how quote unquote zombie movies are making its way towards, instead of being like kind of like that regular? And I believe HBO is going to do a really great job. But Tom, did you have Mas to give us in terms of your zombie take on The Last of Us?
No, I think you guys did a really good job on that. But yeah, I agree that there is this look and feel to it that feels to me HBO, right? Like there's The Walking Dead, and that felt like AMC, where you're like, it's really good. The quality's fantastic, but it doesn't feel like HBO quality in some ways. And this does. Like the way it's filmed and the quality of the cinematography and everything. This looks like it's a HBO show. So.
From the people who brought us Chernobyl, right? Or something. And that was like beautifully shot. So
yeah, it looked beautiful from the trailers.
Also, there's one other thing. If you haven't played the game, the intro to The Last of Us, probably one of the coolest cinematic intros I've seen in a while. Like it really takes you from like kind of getting to know the character into like this roller coaster of like what is going on in the world right then. Like they're experiencing it like right then. And I hope this show opens up the exact same way the game opens up. That'd be amazing. And if you haven't gotten a chance to check that out, I would say go on YouTube and look at the intro to The Last of Us, and then you can check it out when the show drops and see if it's the same.
Right.
So Nick Offerman apparently has a cast credit in the Mission Impossible movie that'll be coming out soon. That would be interesting. Nick Offerman.
That has everything to do with The Last of Us.
Totally. Well, that being said, why don't we transform into the newest trailer that has come out in the Transformers series?
That's a good one.
It's called Rise of the Beasts, and obviously it's more entailed to Beast Wars, which I think we can all agree Beast Wars was probably the best animated Transformers ever, including the toy situation. So
it was by far one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best. What did we like about the trailer? What did we dislike? Did we have? I know I definitely had some reservations, but what were our initial thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just gonna be that guy because I had no reservations. Like I thought it looks incredible. I'm pretty hard on movies that don't really have a narrative, but for some reason this is hitting me in all the right spots. It's just like I'm Tickle Me Elmo, and it is just pressing my button. So like this is I don't know. It looks perfect to me, and I'm a big fan of Anthony Ramos. Like I liked him when he was in Hamilton. I thought he was good in the Heights. So now, I mean, just the special effects looks incredible. I was such a fan of Beast Wars, and just like the slow motion shots and everything in it, I'm like, oh, this looks so good. Like I wish I could just go to the movie theaters this weekend and watch it. It looks so good to me. So yeah, I don't have any reservations about it right now.
Yeah, I think I can like piggyback that in a way. Like I probably like Transformers franchise. I fell off after, I think even was it the second one? They started making like weird references to like Transformers having balls and things, and I'm just like, okay, some of these jokes are like what? But this one in particular, I'm like, okay, more Transformers, but it's like unique in that way that kind of gave me the same feel of when we first saw the first trailer for Transformers. Like, whoa, I've always wanted to see this on the screen, like like them taking this on. So yeah, this whole new Beast Wars take is like really cool. Like again, like when I first saw the first trailer to the first Transformers, I wasn't really thinking about the story. I was like, I just want to see this happen in theaters, and then hopefully the story's good. So this is kind of doing that as well for me. And it is continuing off of the Bumblebee movie, right? So it's like its own universe thing. They can correct certain things and whatnot. And it should be good. And it's good for Paramount to like
to make
I'm
something.
sure, yeah, because I'm sure that brings in a ton of money. So like,
Yeah.
it's good for them to like
Definitely.
use the franchise they have and like revitalize it. So, yeah,
Yeah, I'll take the piggy off my back, and I'll say I have concerns about not just the franchise in itself, but like I love Beast Wars. I'm down to watch the movie based on the fact that we're going to see Transformers who are also Beast, because Beast Wars to me was the best Transformers, just like how Gundam Wing to me was the best Gundam storyline in general. But obviously, I would assume Michael Bay is doing the movie, so I assume the action's going to be awesome. I assume.
I don't think he is.
Is he
I
not
think,
doing the
don't
movie?
know.
I don't think he is.
No, I don't think he's attached to this one.
Oh,
so
interesting.
even more reason why I was like, yay, because yeah, he crushed it on the first Transformers, but it was like
The rest
the
of them
second
are-
one, yeah, where they were making like dick and ball jokes, and you guys are like, you are like robots from like alien planets. So
Exactly.
why would you have that? Like it seemed like no pun intended, like low hanging fruit, and it was like, why? Yeah, they couldn't write better material than that. So
Interesting.
yeah,
So
I'm happy
s-
for a Michael Bayless Transformers.
It's a Stephen Capel Jr. He was born in the year that we were all born.
Oh wow, I feel
and
unaccomplished.
The things that he has done: 2016, The Land; 2018, Creed 2.
Okay, good. I was gonna go the C, so I'm glad you finished that before I got that out.
And then he's also done 2 episodes of Grownish and 1 episode of Rapture. So
Oh, dope.
I guess in that situation, storytelling, we'll kind of see. I mean, historically, I think Transformers has been more so show or tell than show, I guess, to an extent. So action-wise, for sure. Transformers-wise, for sure. But, if that's what I'm going for, then that's what I'm going for. So
Yeah, I mean, Optimus Primal looks dope. Let's talk about like the characters in it look insane. I forgot, like Razorbeak, I think is the name. I don't know all the characters' names. It's been a long time, but there was the cheetah jumping off the rock, like where the
Oh,
cheetah's
yeah,
running
that's the
and it
best.
jumps off the rock and transforms. I was like, oh, dude, sign me up. Like I was ready to pre-book my ticket right there. Like just the animal aspect to it and the way they made them look also
Yeah.
transformery. It looks good, man.
It looks
and
good.
so I'm excited. What do you guys think about the character design?
I think it was cool.
yeah. I mean, the cast they have behind it is pretty good. Ron Perlman is Optimus Primal. Michelle
Oh,
Yeoh.
really? Ron
Yeah.
Perlman?
Ron
Hell
Perlman.
yes.
Maximal Arizor is Michelle Yeoh from
From
Crouching
Everything
Tiger.
Everywhere
And
all
then,
at once too.
yeah, Autobot Mirage is Pete Davidson.
Oh my god.
They got a cast, dude. They got a cast.
Hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll do.
So I mean, I guess looking more into it, it looks a lot more adjacent than what we were used to seeing, which is nice. Oh, Peter Dinklage is Scourge.
Nice.
Which one's Scourge?
Which one is Scourge? I want to say Scourge is the ant.
Oh, dope. I love
wanna
ants.
say.
No, I don't remember that character.
Do you remember
at all, but
the
sounds
Transformer
I'm looking
toys?
it
The
up
Beast
right
War
now.
ones were the coolest ones.
Oh, I think Scourge is an ant. It's like some insect.
Yep, nailed it. Stratosphere
I
is
bet you
John
are
Or a cockroach
DiMaggio.
or something.
Yeah, Rhinox is David Sobolov. They got Rhinox in the thing. That's pretty tight.
Yeah, the
it's a
Rhino looked
locust,
cool
sorry.
too, because he had it's a locust Scourge, but that kind of makes sense. But that Rhino, like it opened its mouth and it looked like there was like a furnace laser beam gonna come out of there.
Yeah.
That looked tight.
Yeah. What's cool is like the CG just keeps getting better, and like the design on every little part that transforms and stuff, like it's just getting more and more intricate. So it's
interesting.
really cool to see.
Yeah, Lisa Kashi is in here, the YouTuber gone past YouTube. That's pretty tight. Well, so cast is better than I initially thought.
Yeah.
Well, from one cast to another, then one cast we know is legit as balls. If balls are super legit in your perspective.
Too legit.
Yeah, too legit. The Volume
quit.
3 Guardians of the Galaxy has finally unveiled itself in its first trailer, and tons of things we want to see, tons of things we were surprised to see. But what are some things that you loved, and what are some things that you loved even more?
Yeah, I mean, I can answer unless you want to go, Scott.
Yeah, I got one word. No, I'm joking.
Is it balls? Oh.
Call back to that.
Was
But,
I don't even know
Great.
how he got it. You gotta explain. Okay, now you gotta explain the joke.
I was joking about there being like 3 things that happened in this trailer, and you're like, "There's a lot of things," and I'm like, "Maybe 2," and then we were joking about how it just got down to one.
And then
word
you're like,
explanation.
yeah, you're like what, what, like one thing. You're like, and then we're like one sentence and like one word, like and then no words and just one gif
Just a
or like one
picture or
picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it escalated out of control. But
yeah, it's great. Like it starts with really funny comedy to me. Like I just love Drax and his humor, and like how they land on that planet, which should be a peaceful, start to like a great relationship with new beings, and he just beams the F out of this kid with this ball. And they're like, these people are awful. Like immediately, he's like, "What? I don't see anything I did wrong." And it just starts with that. I'm like, that's so great. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff in this trailer. I'll let you guys touch on some of the other stuff.
Yeah, well, I don't want to go off of touching on things since you just ended with kids, but this was, you said
You
said it. You said
Take it
it.
easy. Hey.
I said I don't want to. Okay,
Yeah,
no. But anyways, staying on dirty humor because it's James Gunn. It looks really incredible, though. I mean, he's found a way to make these oddball characters feel like family, feel like they have this incredible relationship, and then find some really interesting humor in dark places, just kind of like that joke at the beginning of my segment. So I think that he's able to kind of do it here as well. And it looks like they're only building upon everything that we've seen with the Guardians through volumes 1 and 2, right? And then obviously we touched on the Infinity War and the end game of it all. And James Gunn has recently come out and said like he felt like some of the Guardians were sidelined in it. And, I think specifically he was talking about Drax and Mantis, but which he focused on greatly in the holiday special. So it's kind of nice to, I guess, bring it back to the entirety of the core. And it looks like it's going to be kind of sad as well. Like we got, like, I don't know, seeing Rocket as a baby and then a giant hand coming in to his cage with what looks like his brothers and sisters and with those sad eyes. Oh my gosh. Like I'm not ready to be hurt like that.
It definitely views as if like it almost alludes to a potential loss, not only of potentially a character, but you're seeing kind of Rocket's backstory. Even the music and the tone that James Gunn is delivering is like almost like allowing you to accept it, that something negative is going to happen in that perspective. It does, to me, kind of feel like we're going to lose somebody here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you could definitely feel that from the trailer. And, we had the news that Will Poulter was joining the cast as Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
And he looks pretty cool. I mean, definitely
gold.
interesting. Yeah, very gold, but still like the aesthetic with his suit kind of looks like it's part of the Guardians. But just seeing him like beat on Nebula in that one scene where he's just like standing on top of her and just punching her in the face, it looks brutal.
Yeah.
He looks like he's going to be a physically brutal character, kind of unlike, or like Drax has kind of gotten away from that in some ways. Like his beatings are almost comical, and then we've also lost the Hulk, and She-Hulk didn't really have these savage beatings. So, man, Adam Warlock looks like he's going to demolish people.
Yeah, he's definitely giving me the Sentry vibes.
Well, this, I mean, could definitely be a gateway to having a character like the Sentry, right? Because if you have a character like Adam Warlock, which on paper has a stupid amount of power, you could start making the case for why a Sentry could work in the MCU. I mean, there's even rumors that Blue Marvel will be in the Marvels, and he's a ridiculously powerful character. So if they're starting to go that direction, then like Adam Warlock's a perfect way to do it. Plus, in the original Infinity Gauntlet series, he was the one that used the Infinity Gauntlet to snap away everything. So it's kind of like better late than never, but he's just a really strong ass character. He looks like he's going to be a beast.
Yeah.
Beast.
I wonder who this little otter character is gonna be. Looks like Rocket is like hugging a little otter.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if that's like they're gonna be like that was his best friend, and then he watched him get something,
Murked.
and then
Turned into a
Yeah.
rat.
other cool thing though is Groot at the end. He's got like he's utilizing all his like different
Limbs
arms.
and
I'm like,
stuff.
why didn't he do that in the earlier movies? But it's still cool though. He's got like 6 guns. It's really cool.
Well, this is so yeah. I don't know if you guys know this, but so James Gunn has went on said that this Groot that we've seen since Guardians 1 has been the original Groot's son. So this isn't the original Groot.
okay, so that makes sense. He's doing other things.
Yeah, like maybe his dad could make that branch or that tree force field thing that he used to save them at the end of Guardians 1. And, you know, the son can't, but maybe the son has the ability to use his limbs or like create more limbs and the dad could only outstretch his, you know, like
That
I'm
makes
thinking
sense.
there
Yeah.
might be a lot of ways he's different than that Groot. And I don't know if we've seen it already because we haven't seen this Groot at his max, but we're definitely starting to see him get there as he was like a little baby Hulkling Groot in
Yeah.
the holiday special.
That's right.
Yeah. Are
was-
we
he was
gonna? You
buff
think
baby.
they're gonna tagline some of that story into there to give us a little bit of backstory, or are we just supposed to accept that's his son?
I don't know. Yeah, I would think, you know, if it comes from James Gunn, it's canon, you know, so, you know, and if you're not into it that much to like find out that answer, then you probably don't care if it's his son or not. You just know that Groot's back,
Yeah.
you know? So, yeah, I don't know.
Also, I wonder if we're gonna see Bucky's arm
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Just like a little
yeah.
flashback.
at some point.
Yeah. Bucky wakes up. He's like, "Where's my arm?"
Maybe,
Definitely,
like-
because
yeah.
like when James knew that was going to happen, right? And then he knew Guardians of 3 was going to come out. So he's like, I have to do something with that. Like he knows how comic book fans are. So he has to have an answer or a reason there, something that he has to give us, right? Like it has to
Yeah.
pop up somewhere in there.
Even if it's like on the wall and it's like their bass fish that just like comes alive. He's like, look, I made it so when I press this button, it moves or something, you know?
be funny,
Like
yeah.
that'd be hilarious. I'll take
That
that.
would be great. I was thinking, what if it was like, what if at some point Nebula puts it on? So it's like Nebula running around with like Bucky's arm.
That'd be pretty cool. It's like a little longer than hers.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little,
one gorilla
little
arm.
longer, a little like buffer looking. Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
Shit.
So yeah,
That works.
Yeah,
Though.
yeah. It looks fun, but it looks like an emotional roller coaster. And man, if like, I don't think it'll be as sad as Black Panther in a lot of
Yeah.
ways, but I think it's still gonna get me right in the corazon.
Yes.
That
Especially
means
since
the
it's-
heart.
Yeah, it's a finale for
Phase.
most of this team, right? Like, I mean, it's
Yeah.
going to change some, but whether they're going to move on peacefully or die, we don't know.
Yeah.
So it's going to
Definitely.
be epic.
Quickly, I'm going to go through and you guys, you know, just answer it without thinking too fast. Or I'm just going to say, if I'm going to name a character,
Yeah.
and then you can tell me if they survive or not. Okay. All right. Ready?
Die. Oh, sorry.
I did. Let me start.
Okay.
Damn,
Yeah,
jeez.
okay. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. Star-Lord.
Dead.
Oh, live.
Okay. Nebula.
Alive.
Live.
Rocket.
Dead.
Drax.
Dead.
Dead.
Like, I guess we see Gamora in it, so we have to say Gamora, I guess.
Gamora will live.
Gamora will live. Scott?
Yeah, I'll say live.
Interesting.
Are we missing Groot? Wait, yeah.
Dead.
Yeah,
fucking
live.
dead.
He's a forever
been dead.
tree,
He's
so-
just
Yeah, he's
son now.
he's a tree.
Oh yeah,
so-
that's his son. Yeah. This fucker's on tree over here. This fucking guy.
Let me go to the tree.
Yeah.
Shade, bro. Fucking silly. Well, I also
Cosmo.
Cosmo. Wait.
Dead.
Oh, the dog.
Super dead.
Super dead. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That'll make us cry.
Yeah. No, they're not
For
gonna kill
no reason.
Cosmo.
Just kill him. You're like, what the
Just
fuck,
have
James Gunn?
Adam Warlock come in and just like strangle the dog and then jump
And
out.
it's like, no, don't kill me.
It makes sense why Will did it in I Am Legend now, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that was. Oh, man.
Oh wow, a burn. Jeez Louise.
So Will Smith's going to be in this.
Well, speaking of you people, Netflix came out with a short tidbit, I believe, and it was Jonah Hill, and by surprise, especially considering there was a lot of things on the market that was supposed to come up but never really did, i.e. a stand-up special, i.e. some other shows. But Eddie Murphy is back on the big screen with Jonah Hill. Scott, did you want to talk us through kind of the initial scene? Because it was a very short tidbit. It was only one set, and it was mostly dialogue.
Yeah. I think it was done really cool just because, like, you get the gist of their relationship. Jonah Hill is going to marry their daughter. He's meeting his hopefully future parents-in-law. And he's like, it's what seems like he's asking for their like daughter's hand in marriage. And he's trying to like put on a convincing like argument to why they should allow him. And they're just like really like, do you really love her? Would you even come to this neighborhood if not for the food and the women? And he's just, it's funny seeing Jonah Hill stumble through all that in like the best way maybe only Jonah Hill knows how to do, like, or very unique Jonah Hill style. Like it's very funny the way he's responding and like, and he's trying to relate to them and they're just like, oh, come the fuck on. Are you serious? Like they're just not having it. And it's very short, but it cuts to the point. You get like the relationship, the humor's there. And I just expect like a lot more of this throughout the film. So I'm on board.
It looks funny.
Yeah.
Just like how, what is it? Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill bounce off each other. You're like, God, this is the worst like meeting the parents situation ever.
Yeah.
And it just the title too, like you people. Oh my God, I love it. It's just so funny. It looks like it's gonna be like, a good modern day comedy. So I'm stoked about that.
Me too.
Yeah, agree. I'm thinking there was another movie with Bernie Mac and
Those people?
Ashton Kutcher.
Oh yeah,
Those
and
people? Us people?
Those people, yeah.
None of
No,
those?
what was
Okay,
it
my bad.
called?
Those guys.
I'm gonna look it up while you talk about it.
Yeah. So that movie was essentially Ashton Kutcher was in an interracial relationship, and then he was meeting the family for the first time, and Bernie Mac is giving him a hard time. And
Another
I'm
two-word
kind of
movie. Guess
yeah.
who?
Guess who? Yeah. It wasn't a bad movie by any means, and I don't think that You People is gonna be in that realm. Just because I think Jonah Hill, Eddie Murphy, considering what they've done and what they've been doing, Jonah Hill is a great writer. And also too, like his portrayal of awkward situations, i.e. from Superbad, i.e. from the end of us, the movie where all of his friends and stuff like that, they're their own characters.
I go away from the mic for 1 second. Scott just watches you drown.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
he doesn't
oh.
like give any suggestions.
You'll get there.
Yeah, he's like,
This is the end.
This is the end. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay.
I would have helped you,
Yours,
Drake.
Anywho.
I was just watching Scott watch you just drown. He's like the lifeguard at the pool where the kid is drowning and he just
Sorry.
doesn't even jump
Okay,
in. He's like, you got it, kid.
Honestly, I was looking at the cast of Guess Who. I'm like, oh yeah, this person was in there. Oh, Bernie Mac was funny in that movie. My bad.
This fucking guy. So, and Eddie Murphy in himself, I from what he's been doing, I think he's trying to an extent, reinvigorate his career. And so I think working with Jonah Hill makes a lot of good sense just because the funny is going to come out naturally because they are who they are, but the writing I think is really going to help push that through, especially in a situation where they can both, they're both so, on the, I don't want to say on the opposite sides, but the thing that's bringing them together is comedy in terms of their profession. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that dynamic. Did we get a date?
I think it's early next year. Do you have it? Unless Scott knows the exact date, but I know it's sometime early 2023 is what
It looks like January 27th next year.
There you go. That's as early as it can get.
Yeah. There's tons of things coming out in 2023. We're gonna have a lot of content to have to go through. But why don't we switch some gears real quick? Let's put it into second and rev this RPM situation up. We've got some news. And Thomas, let's anything else from LA Comic-Con that we weren't able to get out on the episode that we did that was specifically on LA Comic-Con with a Geek Freaks? Was there anything else that you wanted to add or kind of discuss that you didn't get to do it on the other one.
Yeah, the only thing that's coming to mind right now, the one story that I kind of told you guys offline, and it's not really an upper, it's a total downer, but I still thought it was kind of a beautiful story, was I got to go to the Amy Jo Johnson panel. And, for those of you who don't know, she was Kimberly the Pink Ranger in the original Power Rangers show. And she was saying, she's like, oh, I never really understood autographs. She's like, all my time in the industry, she's like, I didn't get it. Like, you go up, you get someone's name signed on something. It's like, why would you want that? And she said at this con, somebody brought up a helmet that had Jason David Frank's signature on it. And she said that it was like the first time in her life where she like understood like why you would want an autograph, because she's like, in that moment, it was a realization to me that his life would go on forever. And, those autographs do live forever, and they connect you to that person, and they make that person alive in your life regardless. So I think that was like a beautiful sentiment. And I didn't say it nearly half as good as she did, but, I just think there was, one of my goals. I always wanted to meet Stan Lee. I always wanted to go to any of these cons and just be like, man, I want to meet Stan Lee, because he just, he created all these characters that we're still enjoying to this day, and has like shaped my life in so many different ways, even indirectly. And last year, like I really wanted this like signed poster, and and then it's not blaming anybody. I'm not calling anybody out or anything, but I didn't get it for Christmas. So I was like, screw it. Like I gotta get this thing. And part of the movie cast, it was like an Avengers poster, and part of the signatures was Stan Lee's on there. And so I was like, oh, okay, I gotta get this. It's like one of my favorite movies plus Stan Lee. And and it wasn't cheap. I'm not gonna say how much it was, but it wasn't cheap. But, like, unless I have to, feed myself or whatever, like I probably will never regret making that purchase, because it's like Stan Lee was so influential in so many ways for me. And now I have like a piece of him that I always get to like live with and appreciate. So yeah, I just thought that was a cool, like little beautiful story that she threw in there. And just kind of was like wow.
Just to go tangentially, just we're talking about Power Rangers, they do isn't there a Power Rangers comic book? Do we know who makes that?
I don't know who makes it, but there was for a long time a Power Rangers comic book. I don't know if that's still in print, or if they're still. I don't know if they're still producing it, but yeah. But I know they're still making Power Rangers shows. Like there was a bunch of Power Rangers there at LA Comic-Con, and some people they were saying like they're still working. So I guess it's still going on.
Interesting. Power Rangers, could they have been pulled into like a DC or a Marvel universe? Amy Jo Johnson is recently turned director, and she directed a Superman and Lois episode called Tried and True. So that would have been interesting to see them kind of transition into Marvel roles. But what were you going to say, Tom? Sorry.
No, you're totally right. Yeah, she did talk about that too, and how she moved from LA to Canada because she wanted to get out of LA and yada yada. But she was saying that she did direct that episode, and how it was like one of like the most fun she's ever had in this industry in like 20 years was like being on the set directing that Lois and Lane episode. So that was pretty cool. It makes me want to go back and watch that show more, which I did like, but for whatever reason, like I never really got super sucked into it. That made me want to come back week to week to watch it.
Man,
so that's a rave review.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh wait, was there anything that you kind of wish you saw there?
Yeah, the only one I wish I could have seen, and just through how busy we were, with different interviews and whatnot, I would have really liked to be I would definitely like to be Simu Liu, but I would have liked to seen Simu Liu's panel as well, just because, I mean, again, we're kind of going back to Marvel, obviously Marvel super fan here. But he did a really great panel. It had Hector from Heroes Reforged who was hosting it. Mm-hmm. But Simu for whatever reason, I guess he was taking suggestions from the crowd and started doing these different voices. So somebody was like, do Emperor Palpatine. And he crushed it. Like, it's not like, oh, it's Simu doing Emperor Palpatine. It's like, it sounded like Emperor Palpatine. He did Smeagol. Like, it was like, that sounds like Andy Serkis's Smeagol. Like, he's an amazing voice actor too.
Yeah, I didn't know he could do all that. I
yeah.
definitely recommend anyone who hasn't seen it jump online and check that video out. Like, it's really impressive.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes for sure.
Steezy McSteez.
Nice.
Yeah. Everything else was, I felt pretty lucky that I got to see mostly everything I want to see. There was a lot of great panels too that I didn't get to see, but I just think you'd have to be multiple man to see all the different panels you'd actually want to see.
Yeah, it's impossible to see it all for sure.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest news that we've heard so far, and I imagine they wouldn't want a panel there at the LA Comic-Con, but Black Adam. Yeah, I know the possibility of them losing millions because of box office lack of profits, but I don't know that this is going to push them back. I mean, obviously, I know The Rock wants to make money, DC Warner Brothers wants to make money, but I don't know. Are we viewing this as a negative aside from just the monetary loss, or how do we feel about it? How does it affect DC moving forward?
Yeah, go first, Scott.
I think they still got a plan though. I don't think it's going to be that big of a thing because they still got like James Gunn and his best friend. I still don't really know his name. I feel bad. What's the other dude?
It's Pete Safran.
Pete Safran. So I still think big things are going to come from that. And I know The Rock still like seems like he's all in on Black Adam and his $7 production, like being a part of like producing all these movies and whatnot. So it's probably a little lost, but I'm sure they'll recoup it somehow.
Right. Yeah, I got to agree with you. In the long term, I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but I think it is. I mean, it is crazy, like, a Rock movie with this much hype and that it's not like a super massive character. It's still kind of a character on the periphery for non-comic book fans. And, it's still a huge thing for a major studio to lose $50 to $100 million. That's a lot of money. So yeah, it's not going to be a big deal, I think, in 10 years. But I think in terms of how Warner Brothers and all that is looking at this movie, it might change some things, and it's definitely going to be talked about in meetings at Warner Brothers. So, yeah, I think in the short term we're going to be hearing a lot about it.
I think though it is hard. Like, this is like probably the start of their new direction. So, people who aren't already on board, or maybe have a bad taste in their mouth from like maybe they didn't like the Snyder stuff. Maybe they thought it was too dark. There's also Marvel movies that they can go and watch, like really close around this movie. Like whether they just watch Black Panther or they're gonna watch it or whatnot. I'm gonna save my money to watch that. Unfortunately, they're still competing with Marvel. So I think, like you're saying, like down the line, I think once they start getting stronger, like movies out and people start recognizing, like, oh, this is DC's feel. I like what they're doing now. They'll start getting like more people in the seats. But yeah, right now they're kind of battling that, I think.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I mean, Black Adam was, I think, fine in that sense. I think when they start to combine it with Superman and Justice League, and when we see Flash come out, and hopefully all of these things reinvigorate and kind of amalgamate together, and we start to see it kind of come together. I don't, like you said, Tom. I don't think it's going to be long-term negative, but interesting, very interesting that it lost or it has the potential to lose this much money, considering. It's probably one of the better DC movies, DC movies that have come out in a bit. Would you agree, disagree?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot I found to like about it after the fact, but I'll tell you, like, it was a rough watch for me. I wanted to focus on the positives, and there is a lot of positives out of there. Like, I still think there's a lot of great things in that movie, but it was still like, unfairly maybe. And yeah, you can say what you want to me, but if I had to make a list of 10 movies this year, not comic book movies, just 10 movies this year, it wouldn't be in the top 10.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, and if we're comparing it to like the last DC movie that came out, what was that like? Was that Suicide Squad?
Yeah, and that was fire.
And that was great.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
love that. So yeah, in comparison to that, this wasn't as good. But yeah, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess some pros and some cons to kind of look forward to moving forward. But another thing that we can definitely look forward to is the moving up of a week, June 16th, 2023, The Flash. It's getting moved up. How do we, I mean, obviously that's going to be a little bit better in terms of just being able to view the content more soon than later. But interesting that they moved it up when they initially were pushing it back. What are our thoughts about how this is going to impact the DC universe? And I believe this still has Ezra Millar in it, right? So
Yeah.
how is that going to work through, do you think? Thomas?
I think it's pretty interesting. I'm like still on the fence. I'm like, do I boycott this? Like, I don't know if I want to support it, but at the same time, this movie has got to slap for them not to cancel it. For
Yeah.
all the excuses they could have had to cancel this movie, and for them not to, it has to be amazing. They must think it's like Avatar 2 for, you know, for DC or something. I don't know, but so there, I guess I'm battling that. Man, I want to boycott it. At the same time, it's probably going to be amazing. So yeah. I guess in that way, because if it comes out a week earlier, then if I wait a week, it will be around the same time I would have originally saw it if I decided to watch it in the first place in the first week. Is that confusing?
Right. Super. But I like
What the fuck?
what are you saying right now? No, but I do agree with you. I know what you're saying. Like, I do not support all the choices Ezra Miller decided to like how he decided to live his life and whatnot. He's not my favorite Flash, but I do love the Flash, so I would not just sit out and not watch the movie. It is weird that they're pushing it up. Like, I never hear movies like, guess what? It's coming out earlier than we thought. Like, it's always
Right.
pushed back. The only thing I can think of is like maybe something that happens in this movie ties into some other release that they can't move back, and then like you know, it gives people like at least you had a week to see this before this gets ruined in some other show or something, or movie or what have you. But and I second that, like you're saying, like it's got to be fucking good for them to not like cancel this movie, because with all the things that this fucking guy's been doing, they're still figuring out a way to like keep him in it. Whether they keep him afterwards, you know, that's up for debate. But I'm hoping
Man.
it's really good.
Totally. People are getting canceled for way less these days. So it's like, how is this not being canceled unless they're like, it is incredible and they think it can make at least break even.
Like
Yeah,
James Gunn lost Guardians because of a
Right.
tweet he did a long time ago, and then you know eventually got brought back. But like this guy's like assaulted people, and he's still the Flash. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Totally.
Yeah, no, I agree. On kind of all fronts, like, do we want to support the situation? At the same time, it's got to be fire, right, for them to put it out, unless they're putting it out because they think that the timelines, they're trying to push a timeline, or they're trying to push a certain narrative, or maybe they just want to get it out to see how the crowd reacts, to see what they can do moving forward potentially.
Okay.
Because we've got who's the individual in charge of DC now? Who was that?
In all of Warner Brothers or DC? Because DC is still James Gunn.
All of Warner Brothers, I believe.
Warner, Zaslav. I don't
Yes.
remember what his first name is. Yeah.
So potentially, maybe there's some things going on in the background where they're just like, you know what? Why don't we just push this out and then James fix this shit? Because I mean,
Totally.
James has enough credentials to be able to fix it. So maybe they've got some things going on. But to your points, I mean, we just gotta go see. We gotta go see what it's about.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
it's
in
gotta-
2 months later, Blue Beetle comes out.
Yeah.
So maybe like what you're saying, maybe they
it's
have
like
time
more
to fix
time in
it.
front of Blue Beetle, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We cracked the code.
That's going to be interesting. I'm kind of looking forward to that. I mean, we've got so much to watch in 2023, but the Flash moved up to week June 16th, so we'll get a little bit more. So
Yeah.
why don't we take a little break before we get into the reviews with a quick little hypothetical.
All right.
I know we haven't had one for a bit, but if you could choose a essentially an oversized carnivorous plant that lived in your house, much like how Poison Ivy has a carnivorous plant in her house that talks JB Smooth. If you could have one,
Like Little Shops of Horror.
yeah. What type would it be? There's multiple different kinds of, and I guess we should.
Wait, do we need to know plants?
Yeah, I'm just
you
about to
gotta-
Google
like-
plants right now.
Yeah, I don't know any plants.
I'm the best plants
No.
that eat
Bless.
the meat.
I'll give you kind of the general overview of the plants in general, because there are different kinds of trapping mechanisms. So I'll just name a few. Pitfall,
Okay.
so they just fall in. Flypaper ones where they get stuck. Snap traps where they close, kind of like a Venus flytrap. A bladder trap is very similar to a pitfall trap, but usually there's a sweet smell, and then they fall into the bladder and they stay there. Lobster bot traps, combination traps. Those are your main ones. But let's just
And tie boy traps.
And if
yeah, tie boy traps.
If you act now, you can get them all for $19.95.
Here we
Yeah.
go.
Is this part of our ad or like?
It is.
Also, I was expecting like France and Italy, and then now we're in carnivorous plants.
Yeah, we're
so
in
you
carnivorous
got me on that one.
Yeah.
This is truly the first time we're hearing this.
Yup.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go with the JB Smooth plant because
Oh yeah.
if he talks to me, that's great. You got another friend in the house. They're cool with you. He's not going to eat you. I'm not about walking in my house and accidentally falling down a death trap or something and then like hoping my friend comes and grabs me. Sticky things. I don't like sticky things. And like, you have to kill your plant once you touch it. And you're just stuck in it. You're like, sorry, plant. You got to go. So
Yeah, that's true.
probably the Venus flytrap type of plant. It's probably the easiest one to like avoid and safely feed, realistically.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost just want to say a different one just to try this out.
Yeah.
Because I think it is the safest one, but I like something about having something that falls into a pit. Because you always see that happen in movies and it's never happened to me in real life. So something about having that happen would be kind of interesting. But what am I trying to trap? What are they trapping? Like bugs or
Idea.
like people? Yes.
Okay. If it is
Trapping
people,
Ideas?
No,
Is that what they're trapping?
All
Got
of
it.
it. Ideas in people
Yeah.
get trapped. So you put like a you can have your own little Dr. Evil like fall through the floor type of button. Where they're like, if someone pisses you off, you're like, "Bye, food for plant," and you press a button and they fall. And
Okay.
if you're a villain, that'd work good.
That
Put
makes
on
sense,
your
yeah.
your doormat. Someone's trying to get in or sell you something.
Or sell you something.
you something. No solution.
Someone try to kill you or sell you encyclopedias. Yeah, you could use
they
it for
gotta
either
go.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'd go flypaper trap. Just because they're just interesting
Explain.
because they kind of just stay, and then something falls on it and then they get stuck. It'd be, I mean, I know it's like a human size type situation, and it would be sad to, have something unwanted to kind of happen with the plant, and the plant like digests something that you don't want it to digest.
Like your
But
cat?
it would just be funny to like see what sticks,
But what do you
So you throw it.
you wake up? Yeah, what if you wake up in the morning and you're like, cat's there, or like,
Yeah.
I don't
And then
know,
he turns
like-
to the camera and goes, I guess it sticks. Tune in next week.
yeah. Be
Does
like,
it
what happened to the cat? Are they dead or like? That's all. That's,
Probably like you could probably pull it off, but it's probably gonna be scarred by plants and sticky stuff.
okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be some deeper meaning to this, but I'll allow it.
It's a plant. It's a r/plant trap.
So Italian accents, okay? Okay.
Tom's not about
I
it.
love them.
Yeah,
It's a bruschetta.
yeah, definitely. Wow, interesting, huh? Yeah. Now I'm gonna look around my house and just be like, wonder if a sticky plant would rock right there.
Well, they're good for your indoor situation, especially if you have a lot of indoor plants. A lot of indoor plants do help find other like bugs and things come through. So having those things are helpful, and it's like cool to see like a Venus flytrap trap a fly and then digest it.
Yes.
Totally.
Considering all of that, we've got reviews, and obviously some of our favorite animes.
Reviews. Reviews.
I know Tom
Gotta come up with
Baum
a song.
and
getting there.
Scottford, you were able to watch the premiere of a beloved show series, Willow. How did that go? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you fall asleep? Were you enthralled? Did you have thoughts about it? Scott, go first.
Okay, I'm gonna have to admit, I'm probably gonna have to give it another go, because there was like this one big distracting thing in the first episode, which is the only one I watched so far. That the children of these, like the queen and all that, like they're the only ones without accents, and it was throwing me the f off. Like everyone is like, talking in the proper accent of this world. Like obviously they're somewhere not America. And then you just got like these two American kids that are like, Mom, like, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm my own person. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it was so
funny.
distracting. And it like just, and then to me, they're not the best actors either. I'm
You
like,
just
they're clearly
shattered the glass. Like my mind, like I'll never be able to unsee that now when I watch this.
And then I'm like, they're not like even that great. Like, they just look good. And I know that's how they got their job. And they're not even trying to do accents. Maybe they tried and they're like, just do you. Just do you. That's fine. Like, they're even like their friends, I think, have accents. It was just them. No accents. I'm like, what? How did that happen? Your mom has an accent. How do you not have an accent?
Well, you see, their mother, the queen, sent them on a study abroad in America.
In the Americas.
And they came
Yes.
back to Fantasyland. And that's how that went.
Yeah, that was just driving me nuts. And it got me, like, I had a hard time getting through the episode. But maybe I'll give it another go. My theory is maybe this generation of kids, like, they want to keep two different ways of speaking. I don't know. Maybe it's boring to listen to different accents. So they're like, oh, this kid talks like me, so I'm going to tune in. Maybe that's what it is. That's the only thing I can really think of. Maybe it was, like, strategically planned to, like, have them not have accents. But maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe they just dropped the ball there.
Yeah, it's something you'd think they'd think about, right? Yeah, you're totally right. I didn't even pick up on that when I watched it. I just thought it was kind of a cute, fun family show. Like, it's not like, oh my God, it's Andor, I gotta tune in. What happens next? But it was like, oh, that seems cool. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay. Like, it was just kind of like, yeah, this is cool. And that was kind of that. I liked, the assembling of the team, the ragtag group that has to go out. And, I kind of like that it wasn't the sister who was a damsel in distress. It's the brother. Like, that side of it was kind of cool. And he kind of was a little funny. He was like this womanizer or whatever. But I guess the other thing I can say with this is I don't remember the first Willow. So I don't really know how this is compared to the original. Like, I'm assuming at some point I watched it when I was a young kid, but I think it came out when we were kids. So
It came out in 88, I believe.
okay, so it came out the year we were born. So I definitely, if I had the chance to watch it, it was like way after, like it was already out. So
Yeah,
I didn't remember anything
There's
about
like
it. So
a small little recap right in the beginning that kind of I thought would maybe jog my memory more than it did.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, Val Kilmer, okay.
Yeah, I was like,
And then,
Val Kilmer. That's exactly what
And
I
then they
said.
jumped into the show, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really remember it. I mean, I was like, maybe I should watch the first movie, and then, maybe they didn't have accents, and then maybe that's the theme. Who knows?
Interesting. How they've been doing reinvigorations of dark fantasies, like the Dark Crystal that went to Netflix. That was in 1982 move action adventure situation, and then they redid that in Netflix. They did Willow. I'm surprised they have not done Neverending Story and or The Labyrinth, considering how. I mean, Jennifer Connelly's still alive. I believe some of the individuals from Neverending Story are still alive, so they could kind of go into and these are beloved, like cult classic movies. Interesting that they haven't done those yet. They've done Willow, because I believe the newest Willow, or the original Willow, was from George Lucas produced it, but I don't know if that's the case in this one.
Well, they do have Lucas something in the beginning of it. I don't know if it's like Lucas Audio or like it's something to do with Lucas Studios. So they did have a part of this one. And maybe that's why they were like, hey, we want to make this show and we can use, we have all of the old footage and all this stuff. We have the sounds still in our logs. Like we could remake this, but it's not. And I think it's good. I just don't. All I was kind of getting at was I don't really have a basis for what this is supposed to be. So for me, when I'm watching this, I'm just comparing it to Lord of the Rings, or I'm comparing it to what's another like fantasy thing that's like that just came out recently?
Andor.
Yeah.
I guess it's
No,
not
but
really.
yeah, not really. Or Game of Thrones. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
Like either that or Game of Thrones. And so, I don't know what it is supposed to be, but I know this is a show. Like if I had a family and I had young kids, like this would be probably a show I could watch with them.
Yeah. Oh, here's a fun question though. If they did do the Labyrinth again, like who could play Bowie in today's day?
Eddie Izzard.
No, I know
He
who.
could actually. I think.
Yeah,
would
probably
be okay
could.
with that.
You know who I think they would pick if they could? Like a little, huh? Who?
Oh, Redmayne. Fantastic Beasts.
I mean, that'd be good too. He would probably crush it. But I mean, if you're gonna stick to a pop singer who is kind of like has like a crazy style and all this
Harry
stuff, and
Styles?
no. Yeah, I mean, that's not what I was gonna say, but
sorry.
Harry Styles actually would be a good one. Yeah, do you want me to let me just say it? Or?
Wait, let's get 10 more times.
No,
I got 10
just
more
keep-
guesses.
All right, let's move on. No, I was gonna say. Jesus Christ, I was gonna say Little Nas X. Like I feel like
Okay.
Little Nas X
Oh,
would
yeah.
be because he wears like pretty like kind of crazy style. He plays like I don't know, like maybe metrosexual. I don't know if that's the right word, but he can like. I don't know. He just has this way of moving and stuff too, and he's very popular, and his songs are good as well. So I don't know, but you're right. Harry Styles could be a good one too. But I didn't think about that.
I think you're right about that because like Lil Nas X and Bowie definitely had this like, what is it, androgynous or like gender fluid type of feel to them. Like you don't know where they stand wherever, but it's cool. You know what I mean? Like they just seem like a really
like it worked. Yeah, like it works for them. Like Prince. Like it worked for Prince. Like Prince could pull it off. Yeah, exactly. So
that's a good pick.
yeah. So, but I think Harry Styles is also a great pick, and since he's into acting, for sure that they could even do like Harry Styles is the son of David Bowie's character, unless it wasn't the whole story that he couldn't have kids and that's why he steals the baby. I don't know. I forget. But anyways, we're getting away from the point. How'd you guys feel about no Willow? I don't know. I guess it's too early for me to tell, but it's not. I'm liking it. I'm just not loving it. I don't know if it's gripping me. Like I gotta watch it every week, but I will get through this next episode and have a better idea of where I stand with it.
Right. Yeah. It could just be for a different audience. So too early to tell. Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears then, since Willow has been such a wade. Let's get into some of our favorite animes, and let's start off with Bleachers. Bleach right now essentially is getting deeper into the arc, and it's giving you a lot more context. So in this last episode, we really get to see Unohana stand out, Zoraki Kenpachi stand out, and we get to hear a lot more context of what they're kind of going through. And then you hear Tenjiro, who is the Division Zero, one of the captains, who is the healing individual, and he talks about how Ichigo and Renji are essentially pretty powerful for how low of a level or rank they are, and it really gives you a little bit more context as to the montage that's taking place before essentially the big battle and how they're kind of powering up. I know I talked to you both about there's going to be a little bit more pitfalls here, and the montage in itself is just to an extent a distraction to what's really about to come. But what were your kind of thoughts about getting this new information about Unohana, and where we think the Serete is going to be 2-3 episodes from now? Scott,
Yeah.
go.
Shoot, I don't know about 2-3 episodes from now. I'm kind of just like on board for the ride. Like I do enjoy seeing like knowing that he's gonna have to hit up every every zero captain or whatever, like the Royal Guard captains, and see like how they can help him and stuff. So far we got to see 2 of them. They did their healing bath, and towards the end of that you got to see how powerful that bath was. Like 2 dudes that were in there like helping literally had to wear suits because their skin couldn't handle it, and like Ichigo them were just like chilling
in there.
Yeah, and just like so that was cool. And he even threw like a punch, like, oh, I don't know if you're ready, and then Ichigo like blocked it, but then like fractured the dude's hand, and he like played it off, but he's like he had his hand in the water. He's like, no one is. I thought I was the fastest dude. Ichigo is strong AF. So
Yeah.
So that was cool. You're like, oh wow, he's a lot stronger now. Bunch of that, and then you go to the next place. That big lady, I didn't know she loses all that weight after she cooks.
Yeah,
and
she does.
turns into a thick lady.
Dang it! And I missed this episode.
Yeah, dude, you
dude.
gotta watch it.
Wow, what an
I think
idiot!
you'll like it. But yeah, it was good. That was short too. I thought it's interesting. Like she explained her power, and like the food like builds their spiritual pressure, and she's the one who created the temporary souls.
Yeah, the soul mod situation.
Yeah. So it's cool. They're going to the Zanbakuto area next, and
Maya.
she's like, "Ooh, this guy, I guess, doesn't go easy on anyone, and you might die," kind of thing. Also, the freaking Kenpachi and
Unohana.
what's her name situation?
Yeah.
Holy crap! And I guess, I mean, I know Kenpachi learns his sword's name, so I know he's there later. But the way they're pimping this episode is like one of them has to die. So I'm like, that's insane. And I didn't know that lady was that powerful. I guess it's the first time. Did I miss something in the past, or is this the first time it's being revealed? Like she used to be a crazy badass.
It's the first time it's being revealed. Shinsui talks about it very gently, but last week or a few weeks ago I had mentioned that Unohana was not the original captain of the 4th division. She was the original captain of the 11th and one of the original Sedete 13 court squad divisions. She was the actually in Zaraki's backstory, he does talk about meeting somebody into which he fell in love and admired the person because it was the only person who gave him a challenge, and actually he felt that elation during battle, and that happened to be Unohana. And Unohana's is a beast. Like I know they don't really talk about that, but she essentially can kill Zaraki at will. And the reason why Yamamoto didn't have her go out and try to fight some of these Stern Ridders is because she's also the only one who can heal. And so it's interesting juxtaposition for her to be essentially the most powerful murderous type person, the original Kenpachi, and also be the healer. But to your point, they do allude to the fact that there can only be one Kenpachi, and the reason why they're both not one of them is powerful is because they both exist.
Yeah, it's insane, especially after the setup of they built Kenpachi in this episode where they're like, we had to stop teaching him kendo after one day because he would have got too powerful. Like they had to limit him.
Yeah.
Never mind all the things he wears just to limit himself because he gets a kick out of it. Like they physically were like, we can't teach him all the things because he might turn on us and then we can't stop him. Like he's their Hulk basically. Yeah. So insane. And then to see this lady is like, oh, she could probably just kill him. I'm like, this is insane. Like, it's like it keeps leveling up. When I did, I don't think it can, and it does, and it's great. I'm loving it.
Yeah, we're gonna get to see a ton more characters, not only growing but getting stronger, and then a lot more character development, etc. Tom, what are you looking forward to most in Bleach? Just the revelations and the reveals of the new characters, power scaling, or is there something you're looking forward to in particular?
No, I think you guys did a great job of hyping up what's in store. Like you know because of the manga, but I mean even Scott, you kind of your reaction as you're watching in real time is like really exciting because yeah, I mean again we've talked about it with these animes. It seems like how could it get any crazier, and then somehow it does, and it sounds like that's still happening in Bleach, and I'm excited about that.
Nice.
Well, from one anime to another, My Hero Academia, obviously new episode, a little bit deeper into. Well, Scott, why don't you unveil this one for us because it kind of had a lot of information.
Yeah, I'll switch it up.
yeah.
Switch it up.
What
switch
if
it up.
you
for it.
start this one? Because yeah, I think Scott got to start off the Bleach one. Why don't you kick it off with this My Hero Academia? Man, what episode was this? 20?
23 or something like that, I believe.
23. Okay.
20.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, this is the one where Shigaraki essentially recovers from Endeavor's situation because One for All or All for One kind of took over his body. And then Shigaraki kind of also gets to see his grandmother come out in that realm that they're stuck in. That's in between the real realm and whatever's inside of Deku and Shigaraki. You get a little bit more, I guess, context as to like how the powers works for One for All and All for One, very gently. To be honest, that's all I can really remember. Am I missing stuff?
No, it's like a lot of the episode revolves around that internal battle between Shigaraki and Midoriya. Like the whole All for One and One for All.
Yeah.
Kind of doing it's almost like that in Harry Potter where Voldemort does Avada Kedavra, and then Harry Potter like counters it, and then his parents come out and they're like, oh, and then it's like that. Like All for One is coming out, and then One for All is coming out, and they're both trying to help each other, and they're like in this plane of existence where like you got to be pretty powerful to move around and stuff, and like there's just a lot of conversation and stuff like happening there.
Yeah, I don't remember too much action. I don't even remember too much other characters of Class 1 or Class A or Class B.
Oh, there was one other thing. I forget her name. The float.
Oh,
girl.
yeah. With
Uraraka.
Yeah, with the
Uraraka.
Slurpee.
They're trying to help people, escape and leave the city. And there's a lady who comes out of like this alley and it's like, hey, help! My husband's still trapped in this apartment. I need your help. And she tells everyone else like, hey, go on ahead. I'll help this lady. And then this lady starts booking it like super fast. And she's like, "Whoa, slow down!" And then she like takes her down this corridor, and it turns out to be
I don't remember her name.
Suga, or the one that can like transform.
Yeah.
With the blood.
Yeah, using people's blood.
Yeah. So it ends up being her, and then it looks like the next episode is going to lead into like a fight because it doesn't look like any of them are backing down, and it looks like it's going to go down right now because they're both angry about the situation. One wants revenge, and one is fed up with the villains, and it looks like they're both like, this ends now. Like, so that looks like it's going to be a pretty cool fight. Hopefully next episode.
That's a pretty cool matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because we haven't seen Ochako like actually do like a lot of battling since some of the earlier seasons. Like she's always kind of more of a support character,
Yeah.
so it'd be kind of cool to see her when she can't back down.
Yeah, exactly.
why don't we get a video game that's this cool? Like, man, that'd be so.
There
tight.
is a My Hero game, and I do see people online playing it. So I don't know. Maybe we have to check it out. But
yeah, I think it's more of a
fighter.
Fighter. I like to see more action RPG type situation. I know that's difficult and stuff, and because of the rights and all that jazz. But
yeah, if you're a video game studio, at least in the U.S., you would probably not make an action RPG because they usually get ragged on.
that's true.
Like unless you're God of War or
Skyrim
Elden
or some
Ring.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, like I already feel kind of like worrisome for that One Piece game that they keep hyping. Like it's coming out. It's basically like what you're saying, the action RPG, but they usually don't do very well, and like it'll probably be okay, you know. Like,
Hence the reason why they haven't made like a good Gundam game or like a good Bleach game that's not just a fighter or like a hack and slash type situation where you're like, yeah. But I get it. Speaking of mechanics, Chainsaw Man, the latest episode just dropped as well too. I think
this
a
one's
lot
pretty
more.
nuts.
What?
Oh, I
Nuts?
said this one's pretty nuts.
Yeah, no, it
This
is pretty
episode?
nuts. yeah, there's just a lot more. Can you break it down? Because I'm trying to remember specific moments that I enjoyed, but I need to check my notes real quick. Do you mind?
Yeah, so this one picks up right where the last one left off. It briefly covers the person who controls the ghosts getting destroyed, like that big snake comes out, boom, eats the ghost's head. But it continues from there. Like the ghost's arm is still alive, and like kind of floats its way over to Denji, and then pulls his cord, and then Denji's like revived, and then he starts fighting Swordman, and the sword dude is like we gotta kill Chainsaw Man. I thought we killed him long ago. So it's already hinting at like, who was Chainsaw Man before? Like obviously, Chainsaw Demon was like maybe way more powerful, and like what we see now is like that Pochita character like is just it in its weakest form. Like maybe it's like a Naruto like Nine-Tailed Fox situation where like it grows and becomes like crazy. But they're really worried about fighting or killing him. And it gets to a point where like they think they did, but you also get to see more of Makima and her powers get unveiled. And like I don't want to ruin it for you, Tom. Like I think you should go see it.
Okay.
I'll just say like
Use
she's
a bunch
not
of
dead.
words that are not the words.
Okay, I'll just say she's not dead, and she gives off an aura in this episode or like a tone or whatever, like to everyone who's like, obviously what we see now, like they all like respect her and whatnot, but the way she talks to some of these upper people, like they fear her, like, and a lot of them like don't even know what contract she's made with certain demons, like so some of that stuff is just secret, and like you get to see like one of the we don't even know the demon, but she's made a contract with a real powerful demon. Like the stuff she does in this episode is like, what the fuck. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And even after all of it, like, they know the gun devil's behind it and whatnot. And like, she still has like a weird cool about her, which is like kind of worrisome. Cause then one of the characters even asked like, how much of this did you even like predict? Like just the way she's carrying about. And like, she doesn't really give a straight answer, but it just makes you feel like, man, like, how crazy is Makima? What kind of secrets is she hiding? Like,
she's definitely more dangerous and more powerful than we've been led on to believe. And even the deeper story and the connotation with Chainsaw Man. So the question is why then would the gun devil be super powerful, but then the gun devil kind of is afraid of Chainsaw, right? And when we think about like devils in general, like the ghost devils, or what people fear. But when we think about how are guns used? Guns are used to just kill people every day, but how are chainsaws used? Chainsaws were used specifically in like horror movies to scare people, right? Texas Chainsaw Massacre or other instances into which chainsaw is used to create fear. So maybe that kind of dives a little bit more into the backstory of it. I would have to go back into the manga and read, but
you know what I'm thinking? Oh, sorry.
No, go.
I just got this thought. Like maybe so. I can like maybe just relate this to like One Piece. So in One Piece, they have these devil fruits that work like superpowers. You have superpowers. So in the show, you think it's all about superpowers, but then you realize there are people who like can control. They have like a different version of that strength. Like they don't have powers, but they can like harden their skin, sense certain things, right? And then there's sometimes a combination, like people who can do that and they have their superpower. So like I wonder if like Chainsaw Man, I've never read the comics, I don't know, but maybe he's like the Bobo Yaga of the demons, like he's the John Wick of demons, and like they're like we've known what he became before, and if he ever like awakens again, like he's just dangerous. Like he's like one man that can, or one demon that's like relatively small, or like on paper it looks like you can take out easily, but it's just fucking dangerous. So maybe that's what it turns into.
One demon wrecking machine.
Yeah.
Heyo. I mean, that definitely could be the case. Again, what the mangas have been able to do, and there's tons of like beautiful, very well written, well actioned, well storied mangas or animes, I should say. But what we're getting now, just the evolution of where it's come from when we originally started like watching Dragon Ball, that style of animation, that story, Shonen Jump type character, and how it's grown into these very vivid, deep, depthly toned episodes and characters, and how much layering and how much thought and kind of creativity go into it, right? Like just changing the angle, changing the perspective, even though it's maybe a similar kind of storytelling, but the way that they're telling the story is very familiar but new. I would like to see a lot more of this moving forward, but well, why don't we close out on a season review? I believe both of you have gotten to view the Peripheral, which is on Amazon's, featuring Chloe Grace Moretz. How did we enjoy the season? What are some highlights? What do we think? I believe, wasn't it slated for a season 2 as well?
I don't know about season 2 yet, but I was just going to quickly go over episodes 7 and 8 real quick, because I don't know. I don't think we left off on episode 6, but I was able to watch episode 7 and 8, and yeah, it just starts off really, really crazy. I mean, it picks up right after episode 6 ends, and we catch Burton, Flynn, and Connor and Wilf. This new officer in the future has basically confronted them and Lev, who is in charge of this like Russian oligarchy. And and so now there's like a third party that's involved where they get to interact, and it's the future's police force. And that was really interesting. You find out that they're okay. Like the police officer knows they're from a stub, and so that relationship starts to develop. We find that Tommy is in search of like what is happening at the police force and like where the evidence went and everything. So it was, I'm trying to think. The lady tells him that evidence isn't in there, and he goes to the junkyard to find it. And I don't know. Help me out, Scott. What am I missing here?
No, I was gonna say you can take it because I didn't get to finish the season.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Of course, like this pivotal moment in the game popped up, and I'm like, see, folks, we really do play the games here. But so he goes to the junkyard, basically where the evidence is. He breaks into it and he finds like that futuristic gun. So this gun shoots out concussive blast, but it doesn't have like a nozzle or anything. It's just like, it looks like almost brass knuckles, but like plastic. Mm-hmm. And he realizes like, oh, okay, there's something at play here beyond, just like the villains in the town or whatever. And then from there, Burton and Connor and Flynn have to go with this futuristic police officer. She takes him to this place called the zoo, which is ridiculous. It's like this like manifesting like obstacle course that it looks like it's just like plastic, and it looks like Doctor Strange is kind of building it. And while it like you can see all the structural parts of it, it just like starts creating in front of their face. And their challenge is to fight their way up these 30 floors, where every floor more and more people are added. So it's like the first floor is like 4 guys, the second floor is like 8, all the way up to like I don't think it's 30 floors, it's like 12 floors or something like that. But anyways, it's a lot of dudes. They end up getting to some really cool fights. And on the side, the police officer is talking to Flynn, trying to figure out if there's a way that she can help her, or there's a way that they can work together to like kind of move forward. And so it's kind of confusing in a way too, because it's jumping back and forth. And there's also this guy Bob from the earlier season, where the people from the future have contracted him out to then kill Burton and Flynn. And so he kidnaps the mom and kills their buddy Reese, who was in the military unit with Burton, where they're haptically linked. So where they're like, their emotions and their mind are melted together in a way. Mm-hmm. And so this guy Bob comes there, starts to like kill Reese, and he's holding the mom and Tommy's wife, this doctor, hostage. I know all this sounds probably really nuts if you've never watched it. I'm trying to figure out a way I can describe it, but it's long story short, Burton comes back, and they come back to like their timeline, back in their bodies, and they figure out that Reese's heart isn't beating because of the haptic link. And so they race over to the hospital, and through the haptics with their cousin and with Reese, they figure out he's no longer alive. The cousin taps into his body and kind of like gets him to twitch, almost like a zombie, like taking defibrillator to a zombie to get his body to twitch. And then they figure out who the guy is, Bob, who's captured them, because he shoots that friend's body in the head. And thus, he can then snipe through the walls to kill that guy. So it's this really crazy scene. There's a lot of elements at play, and I probably did a terrible job explaining it, but it was just nuts, all of this stuff that's kind of going on at the same time.
Right.
And so that kind of leads us into the end of the episode where they find out that the whole point that Flynn and Burton was doing this was to try to find some type of medication to save their mom's life, because she has this rare disease and no cure for it has come out yet in their timeline. In the future, there has been medication, or so it was promised. But at the end of the episode, they find out that there is no way to save the mom, and she only has, they give it in like hours. Like she only has 554 hours, which comes out to like 23 days. And so Flynn is distraught, and she's like, oh my God, like my mom is going to die. And the whole reason we like got into this whole mess in the first place was to try to figure out like either to pay for her medication, and then eventually we were promised like we were going to get the cure for it, and it didn't. But you also find out that the way this relates to the beginning of the story with Alita is that Alita was trying to use Burton through the haptic system. She was trying to implant data from the future into his haptic system. Well, because the sim headset was given to Flynn used it instead of Burton, and she didn't have a haptic system, it instead transferred into a bacteria in her brain and was slowly killing her. I know this sounds nuts. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, yeah, sorry if this is like a mad spoiler there, but that isn't even the end or the finale. Yeah, I don't know. Should I just skip to like kind of the overall feeling and vibe of it? Because I don't know if I want to spoil like the end for people who haven't seen it. But
Oh yeah, maybe just overall.
Yeah, vibe out.
yeah, I really liked it. It's not like a super satisfying end. It's not like you're going to walk away and be like, yes, this was great. It almost kind of gives you like a dark ending where, yes, it does continue in a way where you're like, okay, the story can continue on. But for that to happen, a bunch of people have to die. And it's not the people you want to die.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it kind of ends in a very like there's all this crazy action and all these things going on throughout the season, and it's super visceral and yeah, I've had several people who've reached out to us who've watched the Peripheral based on our recommendations, and they said, man, we really liked it, that was really great. But as great as I think the finale is, it doesn't give you this feeling of like you're really, really satisfied. You're like, I still feel like there's a lot more story that they can tell, and that will give us more of a satisfying end, because it just kind of leaves thinking, I don't know, you kind of feel like it's almost like halfway through a story. It doesn't feel like it's the end of a story.
Oh, okay.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh.
Interesting.
But really good. The thoughts, and I still think it's one of the best written sci-fi shows I've seen this year. The concept in it are so crazy and so well thought out, and it's just super interesting. Like, I don't know, I've just never thought about that kind of possibility with future technology. And I guess in some weird way it is possible maybe to do these things. And even the idea of like transferring your mind into, a body like a peripheral, or like a, like an avatar like body, is not necessarily you're transferring your consciousness. It's more like an uploading of data, which I thought that whole point was really interesting. So yeah, the whole future technology side of it and how they incorporate it, and then also humanize it at the same time and bring it down to these people in this small town, and how the small town is super relevant to, the future fate of the world was really, really, really well done. So yeah, I highly recommend it for any sci-fi fans out there who, if you like some small town drama as well, there's a lot of that in there. But if you like sci-fi elements as well, yeah, you'll probably dig this. But I enjoy it. I'm like even more excited for a season 2 to come out.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm excited to watch the finale then, or the last. I think I have like 3 episodes maybe, but I really do enjoy the show, and the possible future life they describe in that is like really interesting. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it's a different take on time travel in a way too. You know, it's not like the Back to Future. It's also, I mean, I guess it's more in line with, Endgame in a sense, because if you go back to the past and you change the past, it doesn't necessarily affect that future that you're going to. It more affects your future. And that's how this works. But instead of, in Loki, we got branch timelines. In this story, they're called stubs. And those stubs, you kind of find out the way they envision it. Like they have their own definition for stubs, but they also show you like a visual, and the stubs actually look like tree branches. So like a stub, a tree trunk, a base, branches. And so it's really cool.
nice.
Yeah. Yep. So I highly recommend it. The acting is great in it too. And it's like one of the shows, or like one of Chloe Grace Moretz, like things that I've enjoyed the most. I think she does a killer job in the show. So yeah,
which I'm really happy about because I do like her. The thing I seen her before this was that movie that was set in the past, but also had like gremlins, like some supernatural element to it. It was like kind of a weird movie. I didn't know where it was going with it. It didn't do that well, so I was kind of bummed when I saw that. But I'm glad she's in something that with the proper writing. I forget the movie was.
It was like a fighter jet, or like not fighter, but like some type of military plane, right?
There was
and
just
she
too
like
much going on in that movie. Yeah, like there was like gremlins, but then also she wasn't who she said she was. Also, she was storing a baby. Also, like it was just like a bunch of like, what is happening? Like there was a crate. And she's like, don't look in that crate the whole movie, and then in the end you find out it's a baby, and you're like, whose baby is it? Yeah, it was like crazy. But I'm glad the writing in this and everything is great, and because I like her, so I'm happy to see her doing well.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. Well, what a great way to conclude our podcast by giving a review on something that I think everybody can kind of take from. But do we have any closing thoughts before we close out our broadcast?
No, just thanks for sticking with us, and definitely check out the LA Comic-Con episode. It was really great that we got to collaborate with the Geek Freaks podcast. It's always great working with them, and it was just a really fun episode and a really fun time we had at the show. And we're curious to hear if you guys liked what we were doing socially as well. Like if you liked to see what was going on Twitter and Instagram, and if you liked that episode as well.
Nice, perfectly said. I second that.
Yeah, I will third that and say toodaloo.
Yeah, Christmas episode coming soon.
Hey-o.
Thanks for checking it out with us.
The Joystick Show.
If you like what you hear, please like, follow, and subscribe. Just how we like chatting with our friends, please share this with yours. Feel free to join the squad and follow us on Twitch, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at JOYSCHTICKSHOW, Joystick Show. Or if you feel like submitting topics or asking questions to be discussed on further episodes, you can email us at joystick.show@gmail.com. Peace out and make it a great rest of your week.